Okay, so welcome to the Ai XPRT Lockdown Spotlight series. We'll be conducting interviews with industry professionals to understand the challenges they're facing during the COVID-19 crisis. We'll also be talking about how their lives have changed and the lessons they've learned as the pandemic kind of unfolds. So our guest today is actually our very own CEO, Dr Bimal Roy Bhanu. So hi there, Bim. Welcome to AI XPRT.
Hi, Robin.
Spotlight series. It's good to speak to you. So my first question is, can you just give us a bit of an introduction and tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I mean, thank you for introducing. Thank you for taking time to speak to me. So I'm Group CEO of AI XPRT. So look, we've been working with global companies for the last 2-3 years, automating complex compliance, risk and audit processes that require a huge amount of human input and manual processes. So we've been doing that successfully, creating our own AI technology. My background, I guess, I come from quite a commercial background, as well as being a psychologist in boot. But yeah, very exciting time, very difficult time with the COVID. But yeah, that's where I am.
What have been the kind of standout observations for you amidst all these drastic changes that have been going on, just in any sort of category?
Let's look. I mean, we deal with a lot of financial services companies. I think the standout sort of observations has been, in terms of talking to peer groups as well as companies, is the struggle that particularly financial services companies have had in terms of remote working, coping with the pandemic in terms of impact on operations. I think that generally in terms of setup, in terms of business continuity, all of that is being brought to the fore. But I think the one standout thing for me would be that the whole subject matter, or the whole area of sort of digitization and technology automation has suddenly become a priority overnight. And I think COVID-19, terrible as it is, has really made people think, oh God, we were never ready for something like this. So that's my observation on that one.
Sure. And you mentioned kind of remote working there, and obviously lots of things have changed at AI XPRT. We're all working from home. But from your perspective, how have things changed at the company?
It's changed a lot. I mean, in the sense that, again, for us, as you know, Robin, we've had to close down offices around the globe and move people to home working. For us, I think it's one standout thing. Again, I think we've really helped us to focus on communication and the art of communication, and to work using technology. And by that I mean not just the AI technology, but I'm talking about video conferencing and other ways of communicating through social media or whatever it might be, or apps like WhatsApp. I mean, we've become really creative as a team to try and come together. So it has been difficult, as with everybody else, to try and adjust. But funny enough, I mean, unlike lots of other industries, we don't have the same set of requirements to be in an office. And maybe it's made us think, okay, hold on, maybe there's a different way of working here as well. So.
Sure. It's definitely a difficult climate. And some of the key challenges around compliance that we're hearing are around information security, involvement of multiple stakeholders, and kind of ensuring oversight of key processes. What steps can firms take to mitigate these challenges and kind of resolve them during an era of remote working?
I think without technology, they won't be able to address it. I think what's happened actually, even with the whole, say, let's take banks for example, and the interventions put in by the government in terms of helping small businesses and individuals and trying to speed that up in terms of monetary help and other help. A lot of them have simply struggled to sort of back that up in terms of delivering that, purely because, if you take them from an infrastructure where they're housed in an office and, having to depend on people seeing each other and, moving information within a location, within departments, all of that has been sort of taken out of the equation. So I think in terms of adjusting to that, it has taken time, and even now I think that companies are struggling to do that. But they're also embracing the new ways of working, and talking to sort of CEOs from our clients and just more broadly, again, the standout thing for me is really that they're saying, okay, you know what, there is a different way of working. There is a different way of working. We have to work differently. We can work differently, and they've been forced to do that. So that's, it's been really difficult in trying to maintain current processes, and that has led to delays and led to difficulties.
Sure, and yeah, you kind of talked about some of the short-term impacts that are unfolding around us. In terms of the financial industry, what do you think will be the kind of short-term impacts, but also the long-term effect of the crisis?
I think the short-term impact, and we already know, I think there's a real focus to reduce cost, to ride through this pandemic, to make it to the other end, if you like. And so costs have become a key subject point now. And interesting, again, I think another thing that's happened as a result of COVID-19, and before, our financial service institutions, particularly banks, were reluctant to talk about cost improvements or headcount reductions or looking at different ways of working. And now it's become the central theme. And certainly for us, we've had a huge increase in interest in our solutions, and people are coming to us rather than sort of us, and especially with existing clients. And dare I say it, look, we're talking about people and people's lives, etc. And that's really important. That's a central thing. But for banks, anything that can help them improve the way they're working and to reduce the cost of working has become the number one priority without a shadow of a doubt. And so they're looking for working with vendors like ourselves that can help them to do that.
Sure, and earlier you kind of talked about the sense that firms weren't really ready for the crisis. Do you think they were prepared at all in terms of business continuity plans and risk management for a global pandemic?
No. The simple answer is no, and I don't think any one of us was really prepared for the scale of this. If you cast your mind back even to our business back in January, whilst we knew that this was a serious illness that affected people's lives, I don't think really anybody had an idea of how much impact it would have in terms of society and generally the lockdown itself impacting business. But put simply, clients weren't prepared. And actually, put the pandemic to one side. Were they ever prepared for having to work in a completely dramatically different way and work from home and remotely? The short answer is no. And that's because there's never seemed to be a scenario where they needed it. I think a lot of banks and a lot of financial institutions and a lot of our clients have been talking about sort of digital transformation and revolution and automation for a long time. But it's gone from sort of nice to have to damn, we need it yesterday. So I think that's the simplest way I can say.
And we're obviously kind of in the compliance and automation space. What changes would you recommend to firms post-COVID, or even to start implementing now for kind of improving their business continuity?
I think, look, without wanting to stand as a salesman for the business, I think on a more general level, I think from and representing the kind of AI industry, I guess, what I would encourage clients to do is to look at the technology in a more serious way. To really start to believe what is capable out there. I think to date, I think there's been a lot of, and this is our own fault, and this is the fault of marketeers, that everything's badged AI and everything's badged like automation is very glitzy, and then a lot of clients have found that the truth is so far away from that. But there are technology, there are unique solutions out there like the ones we have. And actually, it's a time for clients to start believing and trusting, or expediting that whole process in understanding these solutions and technologies, and not just have a traditional view of they'll never work for us or it's 10 years away. No, it's here now. So that's the advice I said. Take a look. Not specifically, it has to be AI expert. I said just generally, I would encourage them. CIOs, CTOs, CEOs, just broaden that horizon and just take a look.
Yeah, technology seems to be set to play a huge role. Do you think the current situation will act as a stimulus for digital transformation and automation?
Yes, simply, I think it will do. I think for a number of different reasons. I think the economic impact of the pandemic is going to be substantial. on businesses. It's going to take not a few months, but probably a couple, 2-3 years to fully recover from that, and depending on which sector you're in. So I think as they go through that journey and the painful process that will be, I think technology will be center to that. And it's not just about preparing for another pandemic, but it's actually saying we need to work in a different way.
Yeah, and of course this could go on for a long time, years, as you say. What do you think firms can do and should do during this kind of uncertain period to survive, and if possible, retain their competitive edge to emerge from the crisis even stronger than they were before?
Well, I think, look, I mean, every company is going to be different, and every company is going to have a different set of challenges that's going to arise. But I think my advice, and just in terms of, I mean, as a CEO, is to try and keep hold of your best people. Have a real look at how you're doing business and where you can improve processes and improve the way you go about things, but the number one thing is, I think, in terms of your current clients and who you've got, you just over deliver to them. Make sure they're there, that they help you to see through that. But I think it is an opportunity now for everybody to have a look at their own internal sort of setup and say, okay, can we do things differently?
Yeah, definitely. And just coming on to kind of my final question, how do you see technology kind of specifically helping firms in this process of surviving the crisis and becoming even stronger?
I think the way where technology has a role is around what you mentioned earlier, around ensuring business continuity, to ensuring that core processes, core services are protected from any eventuality, anything that happens. That technology is used to aid the current teams, and where possible to make up for when humans can't really sort of interact or get work in the same way, it can take over and sort of continue away. So I think technology will become vital to that process. But business continuity, I think, is where technology will be central.
Cool, thanks, Bim. We've talked about some really interesting points, the key challenges that kind of the compliance industry is facing during the crisis. Talked about how unprepared kind of firms were for this, and also the role that technology can play in kind of helping them survive and see it out to the other side. So it was great to speak to you for this edition of AI Lockdown Spotlight, and thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Robin. Thank you.